Hey guys, we're continuing on with our gun bully segment today. Like we kicked off last time when we tossed these guns into the pond, we're using a Rock Island 1911 and a Glock 21, both 45 caliber handguns. And we're not necessarily trying to compare these two guns to one another. We're basically running a gun bully test on both of them at the same time. Like we talked about before, we're trying to continue on with the standard round count for both, or the same round count for both. We're using Chip McCormick magazines for the 1911, that'll hold 10, and we're short loading the Glock with 10, even though it holds 13. Chad, what we've got planned today for this gun bully segment?
For today, we're going to take each gun individually, lay it down on the ground, and roll over it slowly with the truck, and see how they handle that test.
Let's get started. This test is probably not a big deal, but hey, you do it to your gun. With nothing more than tire tread marks, the Glock was fine after this test. Now, would it fire? That one's for PETA. Yes, ants were definitely harmed in this video. The Glock 21 ran through those two magazines like it was absolutely no problem. Now it was the Rock Island's turn. Again, nothing more but tread marks on the slide. But will it shoot? All right. It gobbled up the first magazine like free food. A failure to feed. But all good after that. Sure, we didn't expect this exercise to cause many problems of either one of these weapons, but we felt like it was a necessary step in moving on to the next exercise.
This test we're going to do is going to be a drag test. We tied both guns to the back of the truck bumper. We're going to tow them maybe 100, 150 yards at a slow pace, probably 10 miles an hour, let them bounce around. We're going to get out the truck, at that point in time, shoot them as they are, still on the ropes, and see how they fire.
Again, not necessarily a test that we expected to have any real negative or detrimental results to either one of these handguns. However, it is a step in moving on to the next exercise that we plan to perform. You can see that we sped this video up a little bit because the road was pretty long. But as you can see, this old dirt country road is not that big of a deal. No big challenge for these handguns at all. They grabbed a little bit of grass and bounced a little bit along the way, at least the 1911 did, but still, no big deal to these guns. Almost done. Oh! I think the Glock just hit a turd. I'll shoot the 1911. Oh. And I did go straight for the 1911. All right. This thing took a pounding. Like it was in prison.
Look at the burrs. Let me get the burrs off of this.
Good. This one doesn't feel happy.
Oh, no.
Good?
Yeah.
Yep, I got an issue here. I don't know if it's my trigger. I see what it is. Look here. It's not going into battery. There it goes. Remember, neither firearm has been lubricated or cleaned. Just a hunch, but it looks like the 1911 is not real fond of dirt inside the slide rails. The round is just about making its way into the chamber, but it stops, looking like the slide is stopping on the rail itself of the frame. Most likely a little bit of dirt inside that area. All right, he's through it now. It's these three. There's three of them didn't fire, so we're gonna try to run those three back in again to keep the round count the same. We just cleared some of the dirt from the thumb safety area. All right, guys, here's the ultimate test. We're gonna bounce these things off the pavement on the way back there. We'll see how they hold up. You'll never see these guns look the same again. You know that sound when somebody's running their fingernails across a chalkboard? That sounds good. Heck, that's just gonna scratch up one side. You're taking that pretty easy. Thumb safety's gonna be taking a beating over here. I don't think that was too bad. It just skinned up this grips, it looks like. Let's bring them back there and shoot them. Okay, we're wondering, and I'm not trying to make excuses for the Rock Island 1911, but wondering if possibly the fact that we weren't aiming at anything, if when I was shooting the 1911, if just the position of my grip and holding it loosely like this was kind of limp wristing it and not allowing that magazine to feed that round in properly. What we're going to do is we're going to swap the guns up, and I'm going to shoot the Rock Island now. Now that we took them off of the blacktop, I'm going to shoot the Glock, and Chad's going to shoot the Rock Island 1911 and shoot it properly with the firm grip to make sure that it is being fired properly. We don't want to give either one of these guns an excuse or any kind of an edge. And again, it sounds like it's possibly operator error. We'll find out right now. If it fires properly, then we know it was my fault. Oh, got one. Hard to say. What, three of them didn't feed properly?
Yeah.
No major complaints from the Rock Island 1911, but the Glock's not having any problems. All right, what we're going to do is we want to keep the round count the same. If you remember, we had 4 of these that we ejected out. So we want to put them back in here. We want to keep the identical round count on the Glock in the 1911. So we're going to go ahead and run these last 4 through here that did not fire. Still possibility, obviously the feed ramp's a little bit dirty, but still possibility that I was holding it wrong. I mean, it's definitely a possibility, because whenever I was shooting them earlier, I was just shooting them, putting the magazine in and just shooting it like this. And of course, no grip, my elbows were relaxed, whereas when you're shooting it like this, you're taking that recoil. So again, not making excuses for it. Clearly the Glock has not had a problem firing any of these. But again, it could be a part of potential operator error. I just want to make sure and point that out. Obviously, the gun is still a little bit more sensitive than the Glock is, the 1911. But I just want to point that out. That is potentially a little bit of operator error.
On that little bald spot right there.
Okay, you know how some really bad ideas sound like really good ideas whenever you're talking about them? This is one of those cases. We took 2 pounds of Tannerite explosives, put it on the ground, put a piece of slate on top of it so that the guns could then be placed evenly and right next to each other on top of the slate. And our goal was to launch these guns into the air. Sort of a drop test on steroids or on crack. Everything about this exercise was equivalent to a bunch of monkeys humping a football. Here we're trying to put together a little bit of a tiny bunker for our GoPro camera that we're putting, as you can see, probably a little bit too close to 2 pounds of explosive Tannerite. Nevertheless, we did it, and we put our camera in harm's way. What a trooper that GoPro was. All right, whenever you're ready.
It was now time to take that ill-advised shot that would set a lot of things in motion.
Here we go.
You can hear pieces of the slate falling and hitting the truck. Hopefully those aren't gun parts.
That's a 1911 over there.
The GoPro's video, it was no help. We found the slide of the Glock first.
It's gonna suck if we don't have that.
There's another half of this gun somewhere.
So,
And about 50 yards from that, we found the 1911.
All right, we got the 1911 over here. I think it gets brownie points for staying together since we only found the slide of the Glock so far. We still haven't found the frame of the Glock. Flip it over and see if we've got any blast damage.
just road rash. Oh no, it knocked the
Yeah, the thumb safety's come out.
thumb safety has come out of. That's not healthy. I doubt this thing would fire.
Let's continue trying to find the frame of the Glock.
Did you get the GoPro from the blast?
Show the damage to the GoPro. It didn't do
Yeah.
so well.
1911 fared a lot better than the GoPro.
Yeah, exactly.
So far, we searched and searched and could not find the frame of that Glock 21. The best wide shot video that we had of the explosion was with Chad's phone. Now, they're not a sponsor of the show, so we're not going to tell you what kind of phone it is, but we even used that to see if we could find the direction that the frame flew. Video seemed to show that the slide flew north, kind of in the direction that the slide flew, but the 1911 had flown due south. And naturally we were stuck hunting for the frame right smack in the middle of a bunch of bees. But we could not locate that Glock 21 frame.
This is what we've got left of the Glock. Was the recoil spring and guide rod in there? Was
No.
it gone too?
It's gone.
Okay. That's what's left of the Glock. This is a 1911 after the Tannerite blast. The thumb safety broke off. Actually, it didn't break off. It just came apart. It came apart from the other side, so it's still intact.
When the thumb safety was dislodged from the gun due to the blast, it actually let the plunger spring and the plunger fall out of the plunger tube. Therefore, it would not hold the thumb safety down. That was why the thumb safety wasn't engaging properly.
We'll turn this into a last man standing video. Since we can't find the Glock, let's see if the 1911, the Rock Island, will shoot. And if it does, I don't know that we'll declare a winner because we don't know where the rest of the Glock is. But we'll at least see if this thing will shoot.
Now remember, this thing had just been tossed around by 2 pounds of Tannerite. We had inspected the gun to make sure that it wasn't cracked or damaged in any kind of visible way. We hoped that it wasn't and that it would fire properly. It didn't blow up. The slide the frame fit still seemed fine even after the blast. It's quite possible that this thing just doesn't like dirt in the slide rail.
Good cycle.
What a day. Our GoPro took a beating, the Rock Island took a beating, the Glock even took a beating. The Glock seemed to take everything that we threw at it, but the Tannerite seemed to be the death blow to the Glock as it came apart and basically the frame disappeared. The Rock Island seemed to struggle when it got dirty. However, it handled the blast perfectly. Day 2, still no Glock 21 frame. This is starting to feel like the search for Malaysian Flight 370. The only difference is we're not Malaysian, and we're trying. We have really combed this entire area. We went back to our video and took it piece by piece, frame by frame, to watch the actual blast and the actual trajectory of the frame as it went up into the air. As you can see, we see the frame right here. We see it intact, and we can tell that it is in fact the frame. As we move through the blast frame by frame, we can actually see the Glock 21 frame in each one of the frames going upward. If you notice, it continues up, 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 up. It never actually starts coming down in our video, so we don't know how much further it actually went up. You can even see in this frame right here where the 1911 is blown backwards, but the first thing that blew out of this blast was the lighter Glock frame. All the heavier parts moved in slower as they blew out. We are not going to stop searching until we find this Glock 21 frame. Until then, I guess you could say the gun bully segments are kind of on hold.